you guys. Welcome to What's on Your Plate podcast. I'll be your gracious host for the evening. My name is Zakia, and let's introduce our beautiful co-host.
Hi, I'm Positive Ashley.
I'm Natasha.
Hi, I'm Diamond.
All right, so I know you guys are wondering, who on earth are we? And why on earth did we start a podcast? Well, we'll do a quick introduction of just who we are and why we want to share this information with you guys. So, if you guys do not know, I'm Kia, owner of Mama Nature's Juice Bar, favorite juice bar in the state of Mississippi, and I'm here to spell out health and wellness.
Hi, I'm Positive Ashley, the founder of Pretty Girls Pole and the founder of Living Room Spa. I'm your amazing body positive coach, and I am your holistic doula, and I'm here to serve you everything reproductive, wellness, and health.
I am G.I. Jane, professional bodybuilder and owner of G.I. Jane Studio X, as well as Mind, Body, and Soul Foods, the #1 premier soul food eatery, vegan, and CBD shop in the 601. Okay?
And hi, you guys. I am Diamond, and I'm your intuitive life coach, and I am the owner of Goddess Apothecary Herbals and Healing Center. So I am your spiritual advisor in all things intuitive and holistic and spiritual.
So let's start this thing off by letting these folks know, how on earth did we meet? Why are we together? Why are we doing this? You know, how did this kind of come together? So I'll start with my recollection of how I met you ladies. So Ashley, we did an event back in 2017, I believe.
I think so.
Yes, I came to one of her events just off the whim of her inviting me. And we connected, and we didn't understand what for, but we stayed in contact. And yeah, G.I. Jane, it was just knowing who she was already in the city, big name, and meeting at the restaurant. And from there, it was like, something's here. What is it? Same thing with Diamond. It was meeting at an event, just something connecting us, and it was like, something's here. I just don't know what.
And actually, we met before the event because my journey probably started about 2015, 16. Well, no, it's been longer. Like 2014, when we becoming vegan. And so I think by that time, I was trying to create a menu for myself. And so I was online and I was doing it, and I was online cooking. And I was like, maybe I'll do a restaurant one day. And she popped on. She's like, girl, yes, do it. And I had been following her. Right. I had been following you. And I was like, oh, that's the juice lady. And that was kind of like how I remember like really connecting with Kia. And I think from that, for me, it just went like this downward spiral with meeting everyone. And then I think I met Ashley next. And then me and you, Ashley, we were wanting to get together to do like this.
We had a retreat.
Thing.
Yeah.
So we got that together, but we all kind of went separate ways, and everyone was like on their own journey and moving and different things like that. And so we kind of just like, phew. And I was like, well, I still had the notes and everything, and I was like, well, okay, so why would we get all put together and then like separate? And so I was just like, I'll just kind of. We just wait and see how things flow out. And then I ended up meeting G.I. Jane, Natasha, this year. And ended up just coming into the restaurant. But I had heard her name so many times. A friend of mine had actually ran her name across, and I was like, I don't know this lady, but I keep hearing her. Who is she? And he was like, you need to meet her. I'm like, okay, but I don't know how I'm gonna meet this person. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just in so much doing so many different things in myself, and I was hungry one day, and I was like, I got to find something to eat. And of course, I'm at the mall, and I'm like, ooh, what is this place across the street? And then I pulled up, and it was closed. I think it might have been a Monday. It was a Monday, and it was closed. And I was like, I'm coming back to get me something to eat. And I did not know it was her. Now, I saw everything in the door, and it didn't dawn on me at all. And I'm just like, I'm just going to come back and get something to eat. That's all it was.
I'm hungry.
And then the next day, I get up and I'm starving again. I can't find nothing to eat because, of course, in Jackson, there's not too many places for us vegans to go and
Absolutely.
eat. Of course, with Sweet Peas,
That's true.
you know, with Sweet Peas in this little transition right now, I'm not cooking as much either. So I'm like, bro, I got to find me something to eat today. And the other places that I was trying to go to were closed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up being out at the mall, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna go back over here and see if they open today because I am hungry. I can't do this. So ended up going, and it happened to be Natasha, and I was like, something just sent me here today, and I was like, I don't know. When I got there, and I was like, stop.
She was like, "This is a setup."
This is a whole setup. Stop and talk to me when you get.
Because I was just moving.
I'm like,
what I normally do.
If you don't stop and talk to me for a minute, like, and so that's how everything kind of transpired, and me and you ended up talking the next day.
And was like, this is what it's for.
Right, because I had already met you
Exactly.
a couple of times before I even opened up the restaurant. And then I came to the juice bar and I was like, girl, I'm in over my head. Like, the gym was one thing, but the restaurant was a whole different ballgame. She was like, girl, I'm going to come and I'm going to help you set up your systems. And I was like, that's cool and all, but how much is it gonna cost me? And she was like, girl, I'm just gonna come, because I mean, I had already been like ripped a new one by somebody. So when she came, she held to me, because I was literally in over my head. And then when she came back the next time, I was so excited. I was like, yeah, I put all these systems into place, and I did this and I did that. And I mean, it was just simple things like a peg board or whatever, but it was things that I needed in my kitchen. So I was so grateful that I had met her and that she was so gracious to show me what to do. And then met you.
Right.
It was like the universe.
It was literally a domino effect, because I met you, and then me and Kia ended up meeting the next day or so, and she was talking about it, and I was like,
and then let's not forget about the gold microphone.
Exactly, the gold microphone. I was like, that's a sexy microphone.
That was a confirmation.
That was a confirmation.
Yeah, because y'all were like, what is this microphone for? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm gonna start a podcast.
Right, and we had just talked about remember, we had the conversation about starting What's on Your Plate months before. Months before this, like early part of the year that we started about it, but we got it kind of written out,
ready, and never acted on it. And that's what this entire podcast is about. We're just gonna dive deep into all things entrepreneurship, motherhood, just balance of life, spirituality, health, wellness, just let's say full total body wellness when it comes to yes. And hence the name What's on Your Plate, because usually whenever we started a conversation, it kind of happened like that. Like, it was like, I got so much on my plate.
What's on it?
What's exactly? Exactly.
Got a little dessert over here?
Exactly.
No dessert today.
So that's what we're here for. We're here to go over those topics, break them down, and help assist you guys with the things that you also have on your plate, and any way that we can with our own kind of like, I'm gonna say taste, our own little spin on it, to help you with what you have on your plate. So as you all know from our introduction, we are all women in entrepreneurship, but I'm sure you guys are all wondering, how on earth did we get here? And how on earth do we continue to go? So with this episode, we definitely want to dive into that. We just want you guys to kind of understand who we are and what this mission is that we're on and that we're trying to push for this all body wellness. So I'll introduce myself first. Mama Nature's Juice Bar, like I said, has been the baby I've birthed in 2016. So I love telling people 2016 was the year of transformation, but it was also the year of, I guess we can call it revelation. So for me, it was the year that I lost everything. You know, it was a year of turmoil, but it was also the year of a beautiful blossom. So after losing the things that I did in 2016, it really put in me that drive that really makes me continue going every day, you know, because losing everything with 2 children, 2 little beings that's in there like, what we gonna do next, mama? You know, it really gave me that drive to say, okay, I'm going all in. I'm not giving up. I'm not stopping, because ain't no other choice.
Excuse me?
There's no other option. So Mama Nature's is a wellness brand. We specialize in juice, smoothies, all things wellness when it comes to convenient, quick grab and go. And for me, that came from my own personal experience. So, like I said, 2016 was that year of turn up, you know. So, you know, going through the turmoil and my own personal depression at the time, you know, thank goodness when you have that circle of people around you that's going to push you and tell you don't stop, that's not going to throw a pity party, that's not going to rub your back and say it's okay. They're going to say, no, you effed up. You messed up. It's okay. Reevaluate yourself and get up. And that's what 2016 did for me. After losing it all, I had to figure out a way to just break that chain of a cycle I was in. You know, because that wasn't the first time that I had been down.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't the first time, and it really took me to do my own spiritual work to look back and really see, like, what am I doing and what do I need to do going forward. So from there, my mom was vegan at the time, and she's hammering it in me, y'all. I'm talking about, listen, if they had a person that was just around here like rooting for her, she'll be number one. And really pushing that on me made me say, okay, let me try it out. You know, right at that time, I'm dealing with headaches. I'm dealing with fatigue. I'm young, and I'm like, there's no way as a young individual I'm supposed to feel like this. I'm supposed to be bouncing off the walls. Well, really, I didn't realize it just had to do a lot with what I was putting in my body. Bam. We don't think about that.
Bam.
Just eating, that's all, especially in the South. A little on my plate. So for me, making that transition, getting into smoothies and juice, I realized, hey, this is a lifestyle I want to continue. Well, as you guys know, we are in Mississippi, hence the name, Soul of the Sipp. So in Mississippi, it wasn't convenient at the time. So I wanted to pack my bags. I wanted to move to Dallas. I wanted to go where the juice was.
Yes.
But like I said, with that circle that's around you, it was a beautiful thing that, you know, I would whisper in my ear to stay here, start it here because it's needed here. And in entrepreneurship, that's one thing I learned. When you get in a need-based business that's needed, you're actually providing a service.
Bam.
So,
Right.
you know, that's where it came for me. It was, hey, let's jump all in it, let's do it, and let's do it right. So we did. And y'all, what's this, 3 years later, we are 3 juice bars in and growing.
Wow.
So I look at that and I tell people all the time, at that time I was going through the worst turmoil of my life. And at that same time, I found myself. Yeah.
Snap.
Girl. So from there, you know, it was like, hey, let's go all in. And here we are, 3 juice bars later, we're growing as a health brand. And we're here with a message that's much deeper than when we began. So yeah.
Love it.
Here I am. Here we are. And that's Mama Nature's, and that's who I am and what I'm continuing to spread, grow, and cultivate. So
I
yeah.
met you in a divine time then.
I know you did. You did. I'm telling you, I met you and it was like, I'm going through this, I'm aligning with this. Y'all, at that time, I was like, I want to find my tribe.
Right.
I want to find my tribe.
Right. Losing our minds too.
Yes.
Where are the women I can talk to?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that's what it was for me. So yes, it was divine timing for a reason.
Wow.
So, what's your story, Ash?
So, if anybody does not know me, I'm born and raised from Los Angeles. Yes, born and raised. And everybody, I get this common question in Mississippi or just down south. Why are you here?
Right.
Yes.
Why Mississippi?
Why Mississippi?
Yep.
Well,
Of all places.
of all places, and it sounds so like kind of like nasty and
Why would
just,
you come here?
and I'm just like, oh well.
Why am I here?
Well, there's no HBCUs in California. Out of all the Cal States and UCs, the very first HBCU is Texas Southern. That's the first one.
That's
From
crazy.
California, from the West.
What?
Did not know
It
that.
is.
Wow.
It's the
And,
first.
I
and
had
we
no
are
clue.
everywhere.
Everywhere
God.
except for the West Coast.
Wow.
It's only from the South.
We need more HBCUs.
We need more HBCUs. Oh, I like how we said that.
We put that out there for somebody to catch.
It's just somebody
Catch
on the
it.
West Coast.
Planting them seeds.
On the West.
But I always knew from high school, like, I want to go to HBCU. I saw Spike Lee movies of Happy Days. Was that Happy Days? No, not Happy Days.
School Days.
School Days.
I'm thinking of the other, but School Days. And I just started seeing the different worlds and all those different. I'm like, they don't have that in California. Right. And Lord behold, my mom is from Mississippi. Her mom is from Mississippi. My dad's mom is from Mississippi. So I have roots here, and I have family alumni that went to Jackson State, that went to Mississippi Valley State, that went to Ole Miss, that went to Mississippi State. I have a tribe here, and so I was just like, although I got accepted to Alcorn, Clark Atlanta, all these other HBCUs, for some reason Mississippi kind of just was on a different pedestal.
Pulled you on up.
Right, it reeled me in. It reeled me in, and I've kind of like stayed ever since I met my partner in my senior year of school, and I ended up finishing my senior year, staying, did my service, ended up moving to Atlanta, just came back this year. I don't think a lot of people know that, but I just moved back this year after 3 years of being in Atlanta.
A little second.
Yes, but I think even though my mom does not like Mississippi, I found a really loving and spiritual place here. Like it talks to me. It's the most quietest place I've been to. I found myself. I grew up conscious. I became conscious here. Woke. Yeah, I woke up. And it started exposing me to so many different things. And I would say, if anything, the ancestral part of my spiritual journey. So after growing in Mississippi and traveling to Atlanta, that wasn't until I always been a hustler. I'm gonna say that first. I've always been a hustler since selling candy in middle school, but I did not learn how to monetize until I realized I had money attributed talents that created a service. And I didn't know that until I became a pole instructor at Epic Dance and Fitness, and lo and behold, I became an instructor because I love body positivity. Like what it does to women, the sexiness, the liberation, the just being in our underwear and nobody's creeped out about it. I think it totally just opened a different door, which made me create Pretty Girls Pole, which is a pole community platform that is supposed to inspire all women or men. Because men do pole, and it is there isn't a one size fits all to sexy, which means you can be big, you can be small, you can be light, you can be bright, whatever. Everybody can be sexy, and they can find that. And it wasn't until I moved to Atlanta and I wanted to create something outside of myself. I was already getting booked for pole parties and things like that, but I was just like, this has to be bigger than me.
And it is.
At this point, people start asking me, I want to train under you. Who did you get certified by? And I would pass that information along, and they're like, well, can you? And I'm like,
can you do it?
Me? Oh, you guys are asking a lot of me. And so I birthed Pretty Girls Pole to create a bigger foundation and allow women to find their sexual liberation, because what I started noticing, I started getting high school students, I started getting college girls, doctors, lawyers, postpartum clients, and just different women that just wanted to feel sexy. And I was like, you know what? I need to create something big. I can't teach everybody how to be sexy. I need to create a little army of sexy ladies and
let everybody
expand. And in between that, finding myself, and I birthed that in 2017 when I moved to Atlanta. 2018.
Years.
Yeah. 2018, I'm sitting in Atlanta, and I'm finishing my master's program. I have a master's in public health and government policy, and I'm like, okay, I'm about to graduate. What am I about to do? Am I about to go into the corporate world? Am I about to be an entrepreneur? Because these pole classes is popping. What's next? And I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I always wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and just work with women. My OBGY was my girl. That was my homegirl. So I was just like, what do I want to do without compromising myself in that pharmaceutical world? I was in that spiritual fight with myself. And then I ended up having a miscarriage. I got pregnant by accident. And in my first trimester, I had a miscarriage. And a few months after that, I found a doula program because I'm almost done with my master's. So I'm like, what's next? What's next? Found out what a doula was. I knew what a midwife was, but I didn't know what a doula was. But when I found out Erykah Badu was a doula, when I found out like amazing women, or like amazing people that I've never probably heard of speak openly, like this is what I do, I'm like, oh snap, I think this is what I'm looking for without becoming a doctor, without all these medical school hours and textbooks.
Yes.
And so after I had my miscarriage, I was looking for support. Diamond was one of my support systems. We had when we were trying to do the retreats and that was like our first thing that we had did together. And I had my first Yoni steam with Diamond Rogers.
And that's where I met you guys. I met you guys at that event. That's crazy.
Connection. Right. So I had my first Yoni steam by her because if you didn't know, Yoni steaming can be a great service to you when your body is in postpartum or when you're trying to get fertile. And I was definitely in a part where I'm just like, I need to clean up this stuff going on down here. Like, it's an odor, I ain't never smelled that before. What do I do? What do I do? And so I went to, because they don't do this at the doctors. They don't do this at the doctors. So I was like, I don't want to go back to the doctor. I feel like she can help me. So I went to a holistic person and I had my first steam with her. And after that, I started looking for supportive help. Like I tried to go to group support therapies and this and I was just, that's not it. I'm not finding it here. And I ended up being a doula. I was looking for my tribe, my healing tribe. And afterwards, I found a doula certification. And it was by Mama Wawusi. She's from Ohio, but she came to Atlanta. And the person who connected me, it's a whole different story, but I ended up finding out that, wow, I can be a miscarriage, grief, loss doula. I can be what other people need. Because at the time, I didn't have that. And I was like, I need
That's
this.
what happens.
And I found my healing.
That's what happens.
And that's when Living Room Spa was birthed. And 2 months later, I manifested a spa space in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta.
It was awesome.
It was beautiful.
Beautiful.
It was so amazing. I can't believe I did that. And that's how I birthed Living Room Spa. So it is a doula service, but it's also a V-steam or para-steaming because it is a unisex, contactless way of cleaning your system, rehabilitating, detoxing, and providing just that homegirl, I got you. You can speak to me. It's not a medical fee service. Expensive. And I started that in Atlanta, 2018, in downtown Atlanta.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
That's pretty dope.
Awesome location too.
Right.
Great experience,
And I'm bringing it
sure.
to Mississippi.
Yes. Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's dope.
I love y'all.
I know. Even when we share our stories, it's still like, wow.
Like I didn't even know this.
Set up
A whole divine setup.
Right.
Like listening and putting everything together. Like this is just so crazy. When it gets to my story, they'll be like,
What?
right.
Yes. It was all for that connectivity between us all, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It was that whole connectedness that we have, even
Divine alignment.
basically when we, like I said, even when we did go our separate ways, so it was like you went off to grow, I went off to grow.
Yes.
She was writing about
Right.
We were hearing about
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
I'm like, who is this person that keeps hearing?
I heard about her last year, y'all. And when I joined TLC, I was like, oh, I got a connection. I'm gonna meet her.
Yeah, and look at this.
Right.
Look at this. That's amazing.
Wow.
I did like how you pointed out that your experience and what you experienced ended up being a story that helps others. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time, and just like in my situation, that's how it happened. You know, it was going through it, actually needing it personally, and it being a life change, just a life changer for someone else.
Yeah, you solved the problem.
Yeah.
You solved the problem. You did.
Yeah.
So, Natasha.
G.I.J.
Oh goodness. So my story, wow. I guess my whole life I've been like searching for healing because raped at 13 and domestic violence at 18, and then single motherhood by 23, you know, so then we added postpartum depression on top of already depressed. So it was always just this need for something more. Like I always knew, okay, I'm supposed to be doing something more, but I need to be healed. So was a military brat, okay? So I always had that fitness in my background. My dad was big on that, and so, you know, that was my outlet for me. High school, middle school, track was my outlet. So I was seen as that, you know, bad kid with the attitude, but they didn't look beneath the surface to see, okay, why is she acting like this? She's got this displaced anger. So when I got to college, that's when I first started, you know, counseling, because, you know, in our community, the Black community, everything is like hush hush. It's like we just gonna sweep this under the rug. We're not gonna talk about it, you know, because I was like cutting and all kinds of stuff, and people knew, but they were just kind of like, "Oh, you crazy? You watch Lifetime? You crazy?" Like instead of trying to figure out what was wrong. So that's one thing that I'm grateful for at Ole Miss was that counseling was so open. That's all they talked about. You know, we had feminist majority. We did vagina monologues. We had to write.
I like that.
Vagina monologues. Yeah. That's something that I've definitely wanted to bring down here, where we just, you know, read these women's stories from all over who had been, you know, victims of sexual assault and trafficking and things of that nature, and we would dress up and have a little discussion like this, and we would read their stories to an audience. So that was beautiful. We did To Write Love on Her Arms, where we would write beautiful things on our arms to bring awareness for, you know, people who did do self-harm. Because those were type of things that I was just like thinking, okay, I'm crazy, nobody else is doing this. But when I went there and I started doing counseling, I started finding out, wow, okay, this is really like, you know, a disease is something that you're doing to release that pain and release that anger. So I went through counseling at Ole Miss and then came back home. And I had to move home, had to sell all my stuff. Like you said, it was just like, okay, I got this baby. I'm a single mother. It's like, what am I finna do? That was the hardest thing for me to do, because I did not want to move back to Jackson. I cried and cried and cried. And my brother was like, look at this as an opportunity. You know, you don't see it now. And I was like, I don't know what the hell you talking about. Because I had got used to Oxford, you know, that small town field. And, you know, I was comfortable. And he was like, okay, just move back to Jackson. I'm like, oh, hell. So moved back to Jackson. Really just, you know, did the single motherhood thing, stayed at home. Didn't have a job. I was supposed to be a lawyer, but I had pulled out of school and I was getting a psychology degree, and I was going back and forth to Ole Miss during the different intersections. So finally graduated, and my dad, being a military man, he was like, okay, you got to get this weight off. Like, it's no longer baby fat. So I was like, because I was eating, I was depressed, I was going through postpartum. You know, she was crying and I didn't have any help, and I was crying, so I'd be up all night eating. So it was just a whole lot. So he started by, you know, babysitting for about an hour so I could go do Pilates. And so that helped. But then I was like, okay, this is not for me. I was like, I'm craving more. So I was like, so he got me a membership at the gym. Initially, it started out, like you said, I just wanted to look sexy, naked, in my underwear. That's really all it was. I wasn't trying to take it this far with all these muscles, but I had already had these muscles, and I had just put fat on top of it. But when you go back and see me in high school and middle school, I was always a muscular girl. So as I started to lose the weight first, people was like, oh, you should bodybuild, you know, you got the frame for it. But that really became a place of healing for me. It was like, because when I was in college, I was like pulling my guns out on people and punching holes in walls, and I was that girl. Like, it was really bad. Really, I would get drunk and get belligerent. So for me, the iron was what I was craving to release all that pain and that anger. And then as you
outlet.
Exactly, it was an outlet. And then as you start to, you know, deal with physical mastery, okay, you start to basically release these endorphins, and then when you're going through these fasts, you have to deal with those things you tucked under the rug. So as a bodybuilder, we like have to die to alcohol and all these other foods and desserts that we love for like 4 to 5 months, if not more. So as I was doing that, I was coming to self-discovery. I was, finding out who I was and what my purpose was. So more women were asking me, oh, can you train me? And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to help women, with this holistic approach, because I had started meal prepping at the time, because I love to cook, but I didn't, the restaurant wasn't even an idea at the time. But I just wanted to go at it with a holistic approach and teach them how to get the mind right, how to look at food in a different way, how to, eat to live and not live to eat, and then how to master physical mastery, because, that working out is what helps, it saved me, And so as I started to bodybuild and that became a big thing, and then I went pro, I was like, okay, I want to have my own gym, And so the universe just started putting things in place. And like you said, it was that pain and that struggle that birthed G.I. Jane Studio X. Because at the time, me and husband, we were kind of separated. We weren't married yet, but we were separated. So I had went through depression again, and I had lost all this weight. It was 2017. I had just got my pro card, and I was just depressed. I had lost 12 pounds that Thanksgiving, and I couldn't even enjoy it with my family. I was bedbound. Went to the doctor, thought I was finna die, and he was like, we can't find anything wrong. I knew it was depression. I was like, okay, Tasha, you got to get it together. Yeah. I thought I was about to die.
Yes.
Like, I'm talking about fever of 103, had lost 12 pounds in like 5 days.
That mental will cause those physical ailments. We'll be over here like, oh, I got kidney problems.
Right.
No.
Okay. I'm at the doctor getting all kinds of tests. And it was just depression. So I just was like, a light bulb went off. I was like, you got to get it together. Yeah. So I made a decision. I moved out of my parents' house and just stepped down on faith. I was only making $400. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this apartment. But I moved out of my parents' house. And then once I did that next year, 2018, was me discovering myself. My friend had introduced me to crystals and to sage and palo, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna study this. And if anybody knows me, I'm 0 to 100. When I do something, I go all in. So I went to that store in Rainbow. I was buying crystals like by the boatload. I'm talking about every crystal they had. I was buying sage, everything. So started to find myself, and then 2018, I was like, okay, when you start to find yourself, then the right people start to flock to you. So my clientele just blew out the roof, and I was like, it's time for me to have my own facility instead of giving all this money away. So I stepped out, and the owner, he offered me a chance to rent one of his spots. I opened up the gym. That took off, and then I had always, wanted to open up a healthy restaurant in his gym, but of course he wanted hamburgers and whatever, so I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, no. So I planted that seed in like 2014, but again, I did not want a whole restaurant. I was good with the gym. I had been looking at food trucks. I was going to do it, so it's so funny that, because we had went down 49 looking at trailers, looking at food trucks, me and my investor, and so you just kind of planted that seed. And then last year, the owner, he was like, well, I got another spot, and I want to offer it to you. I think we should put a restaurant here. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, universe, you can't be this good. So I was like, I'm going to send these signals out, and if I get the money, I'm going to open it up. And then 2 days later, the lady called back. She's like, the money's going to be deposited into your account. I was like, you know what?
I got to work.
I was like, okay.
Got to move on it. Got to move
what in the world are you doing, right?
When you ask for it.
Okay.
There it is.
So
don't be surprised.
Yeah.
Receive.
That's so funny. So initially it was supposed to be called Kingdom Foods, but then he was like, people are going to think y'all are eating alligator and armadillo. And I was like, what? So, Kingdom Foods.
What was he thinking?
I don't know. But that's why you don't tell people your vision. Okay. But it all worked out because, the spirits came to me in the middle of the night. I always put it out there, and they came to me, and Mind, Body, and Soul Foods was birthed. I just wanted to have a place where people could come and people could not just eat good vegan food, because I went vegan back in January because I saw how that changed my mental. All those foods that I was eating on top of that depression and that anger was feeding into that, all those toxins. And so I made the decision to go vegan. So I decided the restaurant's going to be vegan. We're going to have food for everybody, but the main focus is going to be vegan. So I decided to do that, but I wanted it to be a place where you could come and basically get your healing. You know, you would just not just get food, but you would get the physical mastery aspect of it. And then we would teach you, you know, about healing through herbs and healing through food and just mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
You know, come get your mind, body, and soul foods, and then go work out at the gym 2 doors down. So, you know, yeah. And then here we are. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Love it.
Definitely, girl. That story, man. That story. It's gonna be that is a healing place for a lot of people. You know, there's so many people out here hurting. You know, it's a lot of people out here just like you said, feeling as if they're alone. Y'all, we all struggling. Like
everybody.
Man,
Something on everybody's plate.
It's yes, everyone's plate. I'm really over full over here, like, and it really stuffed my plate. But that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Come on, girl, like that. So what you got going on down there?
What's on your plate?
Listen, Chad, there's so much on this plate. Dang, y'all, you know where to start. Where I'm gonna eat first.
Leftovers.
Leftovers. So I guess to just say where I am now. So stepping into the intuitive life coach thing.
Claim it.
I guess that is a title that I did not think that I would become. You know, I really didn't know where my journey would lead me, only to know that everything that I've experienced in my life has been, like you would say, we would think we were alone, but we're not. And I've had to deal with a lot of things alone in my life, but to feel like, but to know that even though, like, looking back at things, I was never really alone. There was always, you know, family around too. And then I felt like knowing now what I know now, that there's always been like this guiding hand that has always been holding me and like leading me to different places. And so I've just been listening now and paying attention now. And see, that's where it's led me into this point now. So where I am now, of course, is helping people understand, no, you're not alone in this journey. You know, you have other souls here, just like us. And then you also have that that subtle energy that's always there, that's always present with you. And we call that God. You know, people have other different terminologies for it, but, you know, you have that there. And my journey basically started with trying to find God, trying to find that answers. I grew up in basically a church background. My grandmother was Baptist. My grandmother was Baptist. She sung in the church choir. It was Sunday school and Wednesday night service, and my aunt was Church of Christ. And so it was one or the other. You were getting up going to somebody's church in the morning. In the morning. And so for me, what really did, I guess my childhood's kind of always been like in this like turmoil thing. But I try not to look at it as being like, I struggled through this. For me, those situations pretty much, they gave me the armor. You know, they gave me that tenacity, that strength to continue to move on, because I was a child just like you, having to deal with being molested at a young age, having been introduced to sex and different things at a young age, and then not knowing, but at the same time like, no, this is not right. You know, I always had this in my head that what we were dealing with, what I was experiencing as a child was just not, this is not normal. You know, even as a kid, even as a child. So it was like, there's something wrong. There's something definitely wrong. It's not right. It's not right. And as a kid, I'd just be like, and you know, I lived with my grandmother for a while, and so it was just like, I would tell her like, I just don't understand this, like none of it, you know. And so the older I got, you know, being in church and different things like that, like I said, with the history, like mine, so it was such turmoil. I ended up getting pregnant at 14 on my birthday. And so, happy birthday. Wow. Was turning 15. Hello. And that was like a major turning point in my life. Wow. Because at that time, of course, I was going to church, And that's who I connected with. I connected with those people because, you know, at home was a different story. But Sunday, Wednesday, going to congregate with everyone is loving and different things like that. It took that, what was going on at home, away from me.
Yeah.
But the story changed when I became pregnant. And it was like, you can't go to church anymore. You can't. We don't. You can't be here. You know. And it was like, but why not? You know, the first part was like, my grandma was like, you can't go. You know, you got to stay at home, and I'm like, why? Like, you know, if this is a place of love and like, and I'm supposed to be supported, like, why am I having to stay at home? And like, and it was just so, and you could, you know, and even as a kid, you could, you know when people are talking, and it's like older people, and it's like, you know,
I'm
like
I'm
still, you know, I didn't know, I messed up, like I didn't, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, so I'm just needed some help, and it was like at that point, that was it, and I'm like, so if this is religion, if this is church, and if you're preaching this to me every day, and here I am in this state, in this predicament, I was 15 years old.
Yes.
And I can't go to a grown person and say, look, listen to me, I don't know what to do. You want to keep me at, you know what, like at that point I disconnected myself from like religion and different things like that. And it was a slow disconnect, you know, after DJ was born, because it was like, of course, now the child is here. So it's like, you know, the little girl with the baby, and you know, you can't go to church
fast tail.
with the little fast tail. You know, you can't hang around with, you know, your other friends and different things like that. And then going to school, it was like they shunned you at school too. And so I'm like, this isn't, you know, what is this?
No.
But then I ended up finding like we had a support group in school, so it's like teen parents and different things like that. And so I found that outlet to express what was going on with me there, and it was beautiful because we ended up, it was like a group of us, like 10 of us, and we had babies, and we would talk about everything that was going on at home, and everyone had all these same different problems and different things like that. And it went from us just being a little group to us actually evolving and getting involved with the school system to actually place a class in school that, you know, we had these teens here, you know, in high school that, you know, if this was your situation, you could put this class here, and you know, you could go to class, and then you wouldn't have to worry, because it eventually evolved to where we opened up a daycare center, and we had like we when I say we pushed Miss Dillon, and I forgot her name, so I forgot the other lady, but she was Miss Cindy and Miss Susan Cooper. So Miss Cindy, Miss Dillon, Miss Susan Cooper, I so much appreciate them for stepping into our lives, like not just mine, but all the other teen moms that were there, because trust me, like we could have been, I ain't no telling where I would have been if we didn't have that support system there.
Yeah,
but
that's beautiful.
Yeah, right. And I'll tell you, it was amazing. And we ended up doing, because I ended up pregnant with DJ was like the 10th grade. So my 10th, my 11th, and my 12th grade year, we developed that program. And then they shut us down like our 12th grade year, because the city, Macomb, where we live in, because I'm not from Jackson, I'm from Macomb, Mississippi. And so this is Macomb School District. And so they were like, this is just enabling the girls and blah, blah, blah. And so this was this whole big thing. And I think that what happened was they eventually started letting the teachers and I think that's because everyone was just like, oh, this is just secluded to these girls and yada, yada, and everyone else wanted these like services and different things, which was fine. But the program was designed for teen
to help
teen moms. And so they just kind of did what they want to do with it, but in the same sense, I grew my voice during that time. So I grew my voice, and I was growing more. Now, when I graduated high school, I was just like, went from dancing to working in a restaurant for like my whole entire life. Cause like my first job was working at Southern Kitchen for my aunt's brother-in-law. So I worked there from like 2001, and then Ruby Tuesdays opened up, and I worked there for a long time. And so it was dancing, waitressing, taking care of a kid. You know, at this time I was probably like 18 or 19. So basically just being out on my own. And I had always done nails, so that was like a little side hustle. So it went from, you know, cooking all my life, doing nails, and things just evolved. And as I grew, I realized like, you know, that I just was I was always creating something. Like always, like literally, I was always creating something. And so now, coming into now, because baby, that whole little transition up until now was just like, that's a whole nother episode of 2 maybe. But now, coming into now, I realized that me doing the nails, me cooking, me experiencing like what I experienced was I wanted to, of course I went to school for psychology too. So I did 2 years. I went to Belhaven because I wanted to get the Christian experience and go back to find God again. So I went back to Belhaven. I enrolled in Belhaven for the psychology. But I learned then that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted that aspect of it, but that wasn't what it was. That's what it was. That wasn't it. And so becoming more intuitive, really finding myself, enhanced my intuition. So that connection that I had always had with God, which I found even more, which was in myself, it was like, just keep talking to yourself. Right. And it was just, and the closer and the more and more I got, it just kind of led me to this point. And so now I realized that I had been counseling women my whole entire life. Through food, through the nails, through dancing at the club, through therapist. You know, therapist, like dancing at the club, and you know, and these different aspects of what I was in, because people were like, oh, you do this and you do that, like how does that even? And I'm like, bro, I'm just in these spaces. You know, like I'm just here. I don't know why. I just know that I've been placed in these places, and I have to do who I am. And of course, I struggled, of course, because I wasn't completely being who I was in these spaces, trying to be who these other people were and fit in. But it was like, you're not supposed to fit in, Diamond. You're supposed to be the one that sticks out. Exactly. And I've always been the one to cover and to hide the little light when people are like, no, I want to talk to you, and no, I want this from you. And it's like, I don't want to be bothered. Exactly. But I always love talk to people. I would love talking to people and connecting with people who we have these same experiences with, or who I could help get through certain different things like that. And so now my intuition and me mentoring and talking to different women and different things like that, and wanting to continue my psychology degree has put me in this position where I can talk to you on a spiritual basis and also listen to you on your mental to see if you, okay, now sis, maybe you need to go, we need to try to get something deeper for you, or nah, this is just spiritual, this is just the things you need to just release. You good, we ain't got to worry about, because I went through the whole counseling thing too, of going to psychologists and different things. That did not work for me. Medications, none of that stuff worked.
Because I will definitely say, and you made me think about this other topic, I call it spiritual warfare, because it's not listening to that intuitive part of us, especially as women, not listening to that intuitive part of us. That's really, as I say, the part of yourself you had to shed.
Well, see, that's the thing, is when we've been conditioned as like growing up to not listen to those little voices in our head, to not pay attention to those things. Oh, no, you're gonna do this when you really want to do this. So society has pushed us away from listening to ourselves into listening to what they got to say, or this is what you're supposed to do, and you should think like this because this is you. No,
this
is like,
what
no,
I see.
But they will make you change your own decision about yourself.
And going into your new life, you have to surrender. You have to surrender that old you. You have to surrender those old habits. You can't think that continuing to be the same person, you're gonna get a different result.
Insanity.
It's
right.
Exactly. Insane. Okay.
It's insanity. Yeah.
Yes. Because you really have to shed a layer of yourself. Like, even with
the complete old self.
When I was finding myself with starting the business, I had to let go of so many habits. I had to let go of the Kia that I knew. You know, I had to step into Takia. You know, I had got my nickname when I was younger, and that nickname is what carried me. That persona that I had with that nickname was who I was, but it was having to shed the layers, having to look back, having to deal with the trauma, having to deal with the things that I went through and not look at it as a victim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, like I was saying earlier, to not look at the situations that you've been through your life as being, trust me, it was tough. Mm-hmm. We all go through it, so we're all a victim of something in a situation. But to put that box on yourself and say that I'm a victim of this, really contain.
That's why I always say I'm a survivor, not a victim.
There it is.
Exactly.
Don't victimize.
Exactly.
I'm a survivor of what I went through. I'm not a victim of it. I went through it.
Right.
I'm gonna say that. I'm not gonna deny that.
So, thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you guys for just giving us the opportunity to share our stories and assist you in any way possible that we can. This is Soul of the Sipp. What's on your plate?